Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, December 14th, 2020. I am Dave Biddle. I am joined by the Dean of Ohio State football recruiting, Bill Kerlix. This show is locked and loaded. There's a tremendous amount to get into. Before we get into all the Ohio State stuff, we got to pour one out for the Cleveland Indians. Bill, you're a diehard Cleveland Indians fan and have been for many years. I'm a Reds fan, but I know there's a lot of Indians fans that are sad that the nickname's going away. I don't know if you guys are going to pull a Washington and just go with Cleveland Baseball Club, or I don't know, man. How you feeling about the Indians losing their nickname?
Oh my, tough morning. I saw that last night, and as you said, I'm a lifelong Indians fan through the suffering days of being the only kid in my neighborhood, I think, that was an Indians fan in the day of the Big Red Machine. Everybody else was a Reds fan, and it's a difficult morning, I guess, Dave. I'm actually having my tea this morning with my Cleveland Indians mug. Hate to see that go, but I guess I have to adjust to it.
Yeah, that'd be so weird, if like the Reds lost their nickname or something like that. It would just be the weirdest thing. So I feel for you guys. You can see it coming. I mean, my gosh, it was, I think, the first time that I remember a school or a team changing their mascot, from something in Native American to just something else was Miami. Miami University was ahead of the curve back in the 90s. It happened. They went from Redskins to Red Hawks. So, and then when Daniel Snyder was saying the Redskins would never change their name and he finally acquiesced, it was like, oh, goodness gracious. All right, well, let's move on.
Dave, the biggest question of all is, what in the world are the Canal Winchester Indians going to do?
That's the thing. There's a lot of high schools named Indians too. I guess you could say, hey, it's a shout out to the country of India, if you want to have a little fun with it and keep your nickname. But I feel for you. That's got to be tough and weird. All right. Now we're going to start off with recruiting. Obviously, it's signing day week. Signing day will be Wednesday. Whether you're a diehard recruiting fan, somewhat of a novice who likes recruiting, or somewhere in between, like, we've got you covered on today's show. We're going to get in the weeds a little bit, but we're also going to just speak in generalities and give you kind of an overview of what to expect this week. Bill, let's start with this. So with signing day on Wednesday, I'm just calling it signing day. Calling it the early signing period is when most of the big guys sign, like about 95% or more, as you know. So signing day is on Wednesday. For the listeners out there, who are the 2021 recruits who are still uncommitted that we're going to be keeping a close eye up on from now until signing day?
Well, from now until this signing day, the list is virtually zero. When I say this signing day, I mean Wednesday, and obviously there's another signing day in February, but for all intent and purposes, this is National Signing Day anymore. As you mentioned, Dave, almost everybody signs on the first day of the early signing period now. So basically it is National Signing Day. And, there's really only one or two, or, I guess you could put a stretch and say three guys that to think about in terms of what are they going to do. And none of, they're not really supposed to do anything on Wednesday. Those being the main one, JT Tuimoloau from Washington, the elite defensive lineman who, unless something crazy changed, which I don't expect to happen, he's not going to sign with anybody on Wednesday. He's going to carry it out until February or longer. He may not even sign on the first Wednesday of February. So, he's the one, so to speak. Rajon Davis, the linebacker from California that's committed to LSU. As I put in my column last night, there was a possibility that he was looking to visit Ohio State this past weekend, but with that changed, when the Michigan game got canceled, that changed. He's not expected really to necessarily do anything on Wednesday. He is looking now to wait until February. He remains committed to LSU. And the other one, I guess you could say, is still out there, is Tristan Lee, the offensive lineman, but I don't expect him to end up at OSU. So really, there's not really much to talk about in those terms, as far as this Wednesday, what is to be talked about are the 21 guys that are expected to sign for Ohio State on Wednesday. And it's 21 guys that make up just a tremendous class, a class that is currently ranked number 2 in the country, right behind Alabama for the number 1 class.
Speaking of that, nice segue, sir. You're a pro. You didn't even know that was coming. You were just naturally a pro. What are the chances the Buckeyes are going to finish with the number 1 class? Now, again, Bill just said it. Ohio State has 21 commitments. Alabama has 22. The average, player ranking is almost identical, 95.5 for both teams, which is just off the charts. Great. Alabama's ahead of Ohio State because they have 1 extra recruit in the class. What are the chances, in your estimation, when the dust settles, that Ohio State's going to have the number 1 class?
Well, for Ohio State to do it, have a chance to do it, they obviously have to get JT Tuimoloau, and wouldn't be surprising at all if his decision comes down to Ohio State or Alabama. Right now, I think it could go either way. I think there's a few other schools still in the running for his services, USC being one of them. But for Ohio State to have a chance to overtake Alabama, they have to get JT, because he really is the one guy left out there other than Rajon Davis, and we'll see what happens on that one. Davis continues to say he's committed, is solidly committed to LSU, but again, he was looking to visit Ohio State this past weekend before the game got canceled. So the other factor is that Alabama is not necessarily done. They still have a couple guys out there that they could possibly sign, whereas Ohio State is, as we talked about, mostly looking to wrap things up with JT. So, it really hinges for Ohio State to have a chance on what happens with JT.
Before I forget, I want to go back and ask you this very important question. If you're in charge of the Cleveland Indians, I guess soon to be former Indians, what nickname would you pick?
Oh my goodness. I certainly would not pick the Spiders. I read one article last night saying the ever heavily favorite Cleveland Spiders is very much in the running. And I'm thinking, no, you can't not. I've seen it suggested, I think tongue in cheek, that they go with the Cleveland Tribe. That's not going to happen. I don't know. Cleveland Baseball Club has come up, but
it has. I was just joking. That is a serious consideration. Just Cleveland Baseball Club. It actually has kind of a, I don't know. It almost has like a classy sound to it. Cleveland Baseball Club feels like we're going to. This is too much European soccer though, with Washington Football Club, and now if we have Cleveland Baseball Club, it just sounds like European soccer to me. Go ahead.
Yeah, but out of all the questions, or out of all the possibilities I've seen thrown out there, I guess that one is probably as good as anything, the Cleveland Baseball Club. But again, I'm old school, I guess, because I'm old. I like the Indians.
And you used to be a teacher. You are very much old school. You didn't want to be in Bill's shop class. He'd get the paddle out. I'm not even joking, listeners. This is back in the day when teachers could paddle students. I went to school when teachers could paddle students. And I somehow made it through without ever getting paddled, which was probably the biggest upset in the world. That I never got paddled when I was in school. But you are old school, my friend, but in a good way. All right,
and
go ahead.
Dave, we have to add, and this story. We have to add the little caveat there. After I only paddled students, and again, I taught. At the beginning, I taught wood shop, industrial arts, and that can be a dangerous area. You fool around and do something, somebody can lose a finger or a hand. So I had a rule: if you do anything dangerous to another student that could cost them, a digit or any other hand, whatever, you were going to get paddled. That was a rule in my class, and Dublin High School allowed paddling in those days. And I did paddle probably, about 10 kids, and I have the paddle to prove it. Dave has seen it. To keep things a little light, after I paddled them, I had them sign the paddle. So I have a paddle in my office still here that has the names of about 10 kids I paddled. And, again, that was kind of to keep things light. It was a little bit of a badge of honor for them. They usually kind of joked a little bit about it, that they paddle, or they signed Mr. Kerlix paddle after they got paddled.
That's the funniest part of the story right there, is that you would have them sign the paddle after you paddled them. A little evil, if you don't mind me saying. No, I know you're having fun with it, but that is so funny. Paddle the kids and then have the kids sign the paddle. All right. An open-ended recruiting question. Any other recruiting news we need to know about, whether it's for 2021, which we focused on so far, or even 2022, just anything else that's really important you think the listeners need to know about on the recruiting front?
Well, I think the thing that's kind of, I don't know if it's big news, but it really is spectacular for Ohio State, is when Ohio State was on the run of all the 2021 commitments, and they were number one for such a long time with that class. Everybody was saying and not, feeling like they couldn't do this again. The class is too strong. They've got so many great players that they couldn't do it a second year in a row with the 2022 class. Lo and behold, we're in the middle now of December, and Ohio State has got the number one class in the country for 2022 by a decent margin. When Quinn Ewers flipped to Ohio State, that was just an incredibly spectacular thing for Ohio State. And as good as the 2021 class is, the 2022 class could be even better. It's the possibility is there, and that's really incredible that people say in April and May didn't necessarily think that could happen, and it's happened. We'll see if it continues. Certainly, there are a lot of great players still out there that Ohio State could get for 2022, but the fact that they are even right now eclipsing 2021 is just incredible. It's really spectacular. It's really a golden era of Ohio State football and recruiting.
It certainly is, and those two things are intertwined. All right, let's switch gears and look at the actual team this week. It's just such a huge week. The Buckeyes, with National Signing Day, and then playing the Big Ten championship game on Saturday against Northwestern. Buckeyes are going to come in about 21-point favorites. Northwestern has a really good defense. They can run the ball. They're veteran, well coached. Peyton Ramsey's not going to be an NFL quarterback probably, but he's a good college quarterback. He's a winner. He's had like an underrated career. He was pretty good at Indiana. Let me ask you this. If Ohio State beats Northwestern, and let's say it's not by a last-second field goal or something, they at least look good doing it. Let's say they win by like at least 10, where it's not necessarily a blowout, but they look good doing it. Maybe not great. They beat Northwestern. In your estimation, are they in the college football playoff, or do you think they need some style points?
I can't see any way they're not. After Florida got beat on Saturday night, I think that, like you said, as long as they win, Ohio State wins by not just squeaking by. And even if they squeak by, I still think they will make it. But as long as they have a decent win on Saturday, I think it's case closed. The Buckeyes are in. I just don't see it not happening.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, again, I mean, you don't want to win by 1 point and risk it. I think if they put the hammer down on Northwestern, they're going to leave no doubt. But especially with Florida losing, as you said, I kind of, I would lean toward, if they win, that they're in. I'd be shocked. Even if it came down and they did barely win, I still think they might sneak in. It might just at this point be about seeding, whether you're the number 3 seed or the number 4 seed if you're Ohio State. So I loved Ryan Day's answer. We had a chance to. He's so good. If people haven't seen Ryan Day's press conference yesterday, you got to get on our site and watch it. 28 minutes of power. I mean, it is awesome. He just, every answer he just knocks out of the park, and it's genuine, And I asked him about style points, Bill. I was like, as a head coach, obviously winning the games is the most important thing, but in college football, style points are also important because the committee makes no bones about the fact that style points are important. So I asked him how he balanced that. And he had such a good answer. I almost don't want to spoil it, but I will. He said, in no other sport does that matter. It's just about winning. He said in the NFL, if you won every game by a point, you'd be undefeated. You'd win the Super Bowl. It'd be the greatest thing ever. He's like, but he agreed. He said style points do matter. But he also said this week against Northwestern, he said, we can't worry about that. So he agrees. He's not trying to act like it doesn't matter. But he says the Buckeyes are not going to be focused on that at all, Bill.
Yeah, and I think they're going to go out and get the job done. I think it'll be, as you said, Dave, at least referred to at least a 10-point win. And by the way, what a great day Saturday is going to be. I saw one of our posters on the front row say that they are going to be doing absolutely nothing all day and all night Saturday because of the listing of games. You've got Ohio State and Northwestern at noon. You've got Notre Dame and Clemson, I believe at 4, and then you've got Alabama and Florida as the night game. You know, what a day of college football.
It's going to be fantastic, and what a week for the Buckeyes. I think we wrapped it up pretty good here on the show with recruiting, with a quick look ahead to the Big Ten Championship game. We'll get into much more about that on bucknuts.com and later this week on the Bucknuts Morning 5. Thank you very much to the Dean of Ohio State football recruiting, Bill Kerlix, for stopping by, and thank you to all listeners for tuning into the show. Have a great day, Bucknutters.